Fancy, mate.
It's got to be earned. I think it's got.
We'll
I think it'll come over time. It'll come over time.
Let's not force it.
Yeah, let's not force it because you might want to get rid of me next week. So we see. Early days, Dave's already pulled a face. It's a no-go in his zone. But we are here to talk about Brentford. And
there you go, no-go. That's the one.
We're here to talk about Brentford and Brentford only for the next 60 minutes. And what a show I have joined on, because what a win that was on the weekend. Anytime you get 3 points, it's nice. But when you beat a London rival, when you're 2-0 down with 6 minutes to go and you come back and 3-2, I would have paid good money to have been in the stands after that one, because it looked like the celebrations may have continued for that little while longer after the game was done.
There were one or two cold drinks were had.
Yeah.
And as you say, like in a lifetime of supporting your club, there's always going to be comebacks. You're going to get it once in a season, but 2-0 down with so little time left, and we weren't looking. Up until that stage, the first half we played decent.
Yeah.
Second half, after they'd gone 2 up, no one would have put a bean on it, let alone turning it around for 3-2. So we were obviously delighted, and there were a few cold
a few libations,
a few like hours. I was going to say there, Robin. At 2-1 though, I thought if Brentford can snatch a point here, I thought this would be good. I still didn't expect a 3. After the first goal, did you think comebacks on?
Funny enough, we were literally just discussing this in the production meeting earlier. No, literally, we were just discussing this in the production meeting beforehand. We were both on the Ealing Road. We both had pretty much the same view. I think he just stands just below me. But when the first goal went in, I said, we are not going to just get one more goal. It's not going to be a draw here. We're either going to lose or win it. And when the second goal went in, I turned to the guy I was standing next to and said, we are going to win this now. We are going to get a winner. And so when the first goal went in, given the performance, which we'll get onto later, I couldn't really bring myself to celebrate, because I just didn't believe that we were going to do it. It was still that sort of unbelievable, oh my God, we've actually back in this game. Second goal went in, and even when the third goal went in, it was almost the Ealing Road. It's such a special stand. It's not glorious, it's not glamorous, but when stuff like that happens, it was an out-of-body experience. It was really something special, and I'm never going to forget it.
Yeah, the lid really did go off that stand, and the second goal was obviously noisy, but the third one, it was like euphoric, and I think because it's the last season at Griffin Park, you want these kind of memories, and thankfully it wasn't another draw, it wasn't another defeat, it was a win. And as Ed said,
me and a 6 foot 200-pound rugby player, we're practically interchangeable. But it was, I think, made all the more telling because we were playing in our new third kit, or I don't know if it was one or if it was a third kit, but it was basically an anniversary navy blue kit to celebrate the first ever win at Griffin Park from 1904, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was a tenuous one because we never actually played in that kit back then.
Well,
so
I wanted to ask about that because I couldn't find it. I thought, have they played in it before? It's obviously the special kit to mark the 115th anniversary and the last year at Griffin Park. But I watched the game. I knew I was doing the Brentford show on Monday, and I feel like I keep thinking that is Millwall, but it weren't. It was
bonkers,
Brentford.
isn't it? Yeah.
It was a strange game to do it on, even though this was the closest date. How did you feel about it, Dave?
Yeah, I think it's good that we do mark our heritage. I'm not gonna rip them too much on it. I mean, it was a very expensive kit. It was a £60 shirt, and we didn't actually play in blue and blue. We did play in blue and yellow, but we've done that before. So I'm not necessarily going to knock up on it. But yeah,
we've got a 100% record in it. So bring it on.
At 2-0 down, we were going, can we have a red and white stripes back? But maybe Swansea tomorrow night. Maybe we get the blue out again.
Yeah, maybe like London buses, the blue was out once, maybe second time, see if there's a little run, because it was only the second home win of the season, so maybe it was a little bit of luck. It was the first game out that international break. I know we're going to talk about the game, but do you feel like this you can kick on there a little bit, Dave? Could that spark the side? Yeah,
me and Robin were speaking before, and we were saying that we do have to build on this. We've had these false dawns before this season where a win has kind of we've been really kind of got okay, and now we kick on, and it's not quite happened. So we have to use this as a springboard. It's something that if we're going to get anything out of this season, we can't be sort of constantly going one step forward and two steps back. We do need to get some points on the board now.
Well, I know we're going to look at the game in further detail a little bit later, because there was certainly some of the manager's comments that I want to talk to you about and what the fans were saying. Just quickly though, because I know you want to talk about a QPR ticket update. Is that right?
So QPR ticket updates. What is the latest? Actually, I've not actually looked
So
into it.
the lower tier.
I've got my ticket. That's what I know.
After our pressure last week,
yeah,
we did our podcast on a Wednesday, Thursday. When we were saying like, come on, you need to get your acts together. You need to get these lower tier on sale because the highest price tickets were on sale. No, everyone was holding out for the lower ones.
Yeah.
No one wants to go upstairs at Loftus Road, so they did. They buckled. And the lower tiers on sale, so I think we get a decent turnout. Although it's a Monday night and it's on the box, it's always going to have a knock-on effect. But at least the fans that want to go and are going can get where they can stand where they want.
Because it's next Monday, isn't it? Which
Monday.
means no
it's
show next Monday. So it feels like if this ain't a good appearance from me already next week, the show's off.
Well, you're welcome to come down to Loftus Road.
I might have
mate.
to. Now instead,
we can do it live and direct, mate.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, not the biggest fan of Loftus Road. Can I say that here? Am I safe? The stadium, it's not fantastic.
I mean, if you're not safe to say that to us, I don't know. That's
very true.
You can go far harder than that with us, mate.
Yeah, I'll do a QPR fan show, so I have to remember where I am sometimes. Let's quickly talk about the game on the weekend, because I know there's some audio from Brentford and Millwall fans, so let's hear that now. No, here we go.
Yeah, it was a result we definitely needed, but come on, let's be honest, we got out of jail there, but we were 2-0 down, we were looking as though we were dead and buried. I suppose you credit the team for coming back and fighting through to the 95th minute, but boy, the questions that need answering there. I mean, I'm as delighted as anybody with this result, but we're still not the Brentford that we were.
Just some bits of magic saved us in the end. Well, I thought we were dead and buried. Give our dues first half, we were the better side, but you've got to take a chance when they come, and we didn't. And then Millwall did a Millwall on us, but we turned it around. What a finish. You can't moan about that at all.
It was a lot harder still for us to try and get some things through the midfield. Can't take away from the result. Didn't see that coming. Great to see it. Come on, you bees.
First 45 minutes, Brentford were the better team. We hit the post. We missed a penalty. Their keeper pulled off 2 great saves. Our keeper had very little to do. They got that goal right at the end of the half. Second half, first 35 minutes, we were quite poor. They were okay. Last 10 minutes, we just turned it around. As soon as their keeper had to pull off a really good save after 80 minutes, then we kind of felt we felt we could do something. Then a few changes off the bench, three goals. No one was expecting 3 goals. We thought maybe 1, but it was really good work by the Bees. I thought we just took it over. The crowd helped. We kind of believed, and we just pulled it off.
I would say that we just fully deserved to win that game. If you look at the first half performance, we should have been probably 2-0, maybe 2-1 up at half time. I didn't really see whether Reyes made a bad attempt at the save, was a good save, and then he parried it a bit. So I don't know, but we certainly should. We missed a penalty. We had other good chances. We fully deserved to win today. It's just that the way the game played out, we only scored in the last 10 or 12 minutes, which makes it look like we turned the game. I don't think we did. I think we kept plugging away. And in a way, that's kind of why I think XG does give you an idea that what you're doing is right. Keep plugging away, and actually you get the rewards, which we did today. What you don't do is go into panic mode and stick Pontus Jansson up front for the last 20 minutes or whatever and just lump the ball into the penalty area, which maybe is what some people want, and that's kind of why I think it does work. It just gives you an idea that you are creating chances and you keep doing what you're doing. And I didn't in a million years think we were going to get anything out of today's game. There are sometimes you kind of think, bring this sub on, bring that sub on, they'll change the game. And that didn't happen today, did it? But we kept going, and then we did get the lucky breaks that we didn't get in the first half.
Well, good to hear audio from the fans there after the game and before the game. We're talking about the game just quickly. I know we're going to look at it a little bit more, but was the score a fair result for Millwall? Because I know you don't care about them, you care about Brentford. It was a brilliant 3 points, but snatching it so late, those 3 goals, couldn't believe it when I was watching it. Would you have taken a draw? How do you think Millwall will feel coming out of that result?
Yeah, they're obviously going to feel gutted. It's a human. You can't help. 2-0 up in any football game, you think, with 10 minutes to go, you think it's in the bag, don't you? But we were talking in cliches a little bit earlier, and we were sort of doing that. It's a 9-month season. It's a 95-minute game, and you do have to remember that if you're knocking on the door, which we were doing so much in the first half. First 20 minutes of the second half, we didn't look great at all. First 30 minutes, we didn't look great. But then we clicked, and then we looked awesome. And as Robin said, it was just that it wasn't an inevitability about the result, but it you could feel something coming.
Yeah, it was just there was a storm brewing from the Ealing Road. Like there was just whenever you're 2-0 down at home, particularly at Griffin Park, which is quite an intimidating ground for away teams to go to. It's close to the pitch. It's not glamorous. It's a really, really intense atmosphere, particularly when the Ealing Road are very vocal, which they were yesterday. There's always that sense that the game is not over until the referee blows the final whistle, and then probably beyond that. And I just sort of felt an inevitability up until we scored that first goal. Now, when we score one goal, we usually score three. With that kind of team, we very rarely win games 1-0. And we very rarely lose games by one. It's a real Brentford trait, is that we always like to play attacking football and and go for the jugular, if that makes sense. So when that first goal went in, I was convinced we were going to win it, purely because of just that you could sense the tide turning, and it's impossible to quantify that. And
there was nothing much was going our way before that. We had a penalty that we missed. We hit the post. Nikos Kourelis busted his ACL, I think, so the striker's gone off. We've had a perfectly good goal disallowed, and there's a lot that's gone against us. So when the tide did turn, it was kind of like, whoa, okay, let's ride this.
I said to Laney in the pub, the production meeting beforehand, and we're responsible here. And I said it's the kind of game where I feel sorry for anyone that doesn't like football, because the emotional roller coaster that both sets of fans and players and managers and backroom staff would have gone through on that day. It's what football is about. It's why we wake up and we spend the money we do going to these games.
If you bottled that, it'd have 8% written on the bottle as well, wouldn't it? That was heavy duty stuff.
It certainly was, and we're going to talk about the game a little bit more, the whole range of emotions that Brentford fans were feeling, and obviously coming out with those 3 points.
Love Sport Radio, the station giving fans a voice. Are you being fobbed off by a company? Are they letting you down? And are your complaints falling on deaf ears? We can help you out. Come to aspokesmansaid.com and we will give you a voice and a platform to raise your complaints. As recommended in the Daily Telegraph, aspokesmansaid.com, fighting for you, saving you money.
Every day someone dies waiting for a transplant. From spring 2020, the law around organ donation in England is changing to allow more people to pass on more organs to save more lives. Unless you choose to opt out or in an excluded group, all adults will be considered as a possible organ donor when they die. Whatever your choice, make it clear to your family and closest friends to ensure your decision is honoured. To find out more, or for the choice to opt out, visit organdonation.nhs.uk. Pass it on.
When looking for the best possible deal for his car insurance, Jim went on aspokesmansaid.com and saved hundreds.
I'm Jim. I'm a radio presenter based in Glasgow. I couldn't believe how expensive the car insurance for our Citroen C4 Picasso was going to be from my existing insurer. I went on a Spokesman Said and saved an incredible £600. Just amazing.
Find quotes from over 100 leading insurance providers at aspokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
If you see somebody showing any of the signs of a stroke, you don't have to think about it. You just dial 999. Use the FAST test. F. Face. Has their face fallen on one side? Can they smile? A. Arms. Can they raise both arms and keep them there? S. Speech. Is their speech slurred? T. Time. Time to call 999 if you see any one of these signs. Act fast, make the call, dial 999.
Whoa! Look how much saturated fat is in these chocolate biscuits. It's surprising how much is in our food and drinks. For us kids, eating too much saturated fat can lead to harmful fat building up inside, which we can't see, increasing the risk of heart disease or stroke when we get older. So be food smart. Download the free Change for Life food scanner app and start making healthier choices today.
Love Sport.
You are listening to the Brentford Fan Show on Love Sport Radio with me, Charlie Hawkins. I'm joined in the studio with the BeeSotted podcast, Dave Laney Lane and Robin Hood McMichael.
Evening.
We are talking everything where Brentford are concerned for the next hour. Lots of chatter about the game on the weekend. It was a superb victory. 2-0 down, 3-2, 3 points in the bag. Thank you and yes, please. One thing that I do want to mention is you two are speaking, obviously, the range of emotions, the highs, the lows, how you both felt in the stands and after that game. But the scoreline, the comeback will obviously grab all the headlines, Dave, but it could have been so different. Obviously, Watkins missing that penalties. There was a whole host of chances before the game. It might have not been that way where Millwall did take that 2-0 lead.
Yeah, yes, you're spot on. And, you know, you can kind of gauge how those emotions ranged by the fact that there were fans singing "You're getting sacked in the morning" towards Thomas Frank. And I'm not knocking, you know, I'm not here to sort of like, you know, say that they were right or wrong. People have their own opinions or whatever, but you know, they were probably the same fans that were singing his name and cheering at the 95th minute when we won. So I mean, it is an example of how fine margins are within the game. You know, we looked like we should have been 2 up, or 2-1 up at the break. Could have been 3-1 early in the second half, and you know, then it's a completely different complexion on the match and a completely different atmosphere within the stadium. And it was almost like, you know, as you said, Robin, earlier, like the weather changed. It was like, you know, lashing down with rain first half, and the sun came out. Everyone's taking their jackets off because it's roasting. So there was like a dual climate as well. And you know, we got out of jail. I think people came out relieved rather than kind of like felt that they got I think overall we deserved it. If you looked at the stats, if you looked at the numbers, if you looked at the XG, if you look at all of that, we deserve to win. But when you're there and you're watching, you think, yeah.
I mean, we've been here before. We were here when Derby, when we smashed Derby 3-0 at Griffin Park, and then we thought, okay, international break, but this will be really, you know, it's come at the wrong time, but it'll be a good springboard. And then we went on and we didn't get a good run of results. We had this against Barnsley when we beat them 3-1 away on a Sunday live on TV. We thought, okay, this is the start of something. And then we had a disappointing draw against Bristol City at home, and then lost to Nottingham Forest away. So we've been here before. We've been in this situation where we've had this really morale boosting win, and it's not come to anything moving forward. So I think it's important that we don't acknowledge what I would say minute 35 to minute 75 maybe, minute 80, where we weren't very good at all. And I think whilst this result is going to be really, really brilliant in terms of geeing the players up, particularly geeing the fans up as well, because who doesn't love a 2-0 down to 3-2 win with
don't happen
last
very often.
It really doesn't happen. And the occasion, the blue kit, the changing weather, as Laney mentioned, like it all added to that sort of spectacle of the football match. Long term, I think the players need to really, really look at the flaws that were exhibited, if you like, throughout the game. But overall, I think this is a really, really good possibility of a launching point.
Certainly. I want to talk about the manager there. I want to go back to a point you made, Dave, because we're going to hear some audio from the manager in a minute. But you mentioned fans were saying, singing, "You're getting sacked in the morning." Rightly or wrongly, it's their own subjective opinion, and fans celebrate at the end, as all football fans do. We're all fickle.
Yeah,
I include myself in that.
Yeah.
We're very fond of a knee-jerk reaction. But let's take away the result. Is he on the hot seat? Is there a growing frustration amongst fans? Maybe not yourself and Robin, but is there a little bit of division amongst the Brentford fans with his tenure at the minute?
Look, yeah, I think there is. We've said it a fair few times on the podcast and on the radio show that we always seem to be 1 defeat or 2 defeats away from some sort of meltdown, and I don't think there's an appetite in the power, you know, amongst the powers that be within the club. That I think they're happy with Thomas Frank. I think they're more than happy with Thomas Frank. So I don't think he's on any kind of rocky ground. But you do feel that we are below where we expected and where we should be, really. But we're 6 points outside the playoffs. We're over a quarter of the way through the season. We're not pulling up any trees, and we've not really set the world on fire. I think we still can only get better, and we can only get better against being in touch with the playoff position still. So we're not like we're cut adrift. We're doing okay considering, but we have to do a lot better. That's obvious.
And Robin, a question I want to ask, and I don't know if this is allowed to be asked or spoke about, but if it isn't, it's my first show, so maybe I'll get a free pass. Obviously, a lot of Villa fans are celebrating Dean Smith at the minute. It's a year in charge for him. Is it something, as we talk about Thomas Frank being on the hot seat, do you still look at Dean Smith, or you keep an eye out and think, what you were doing under him and what he's doing now, or is that in the rearview mirror forgotten?
I mean, I certainly don't, and I'd like to think that a lot of Brentford fans don't. To look at what Dean Smith was, is doing at Villa, and what if he had stayed. I think it's a really, really backwards move, and I certainly don't believe that the Brentford powers that be are doing that either. A lot of the when the Brentford manager is in the hot seat, that is where everything is directed towards. A lot of people can go back and talk about what Warburton and Dijkhuizen, Rosler, whatever they want to do. It doesn't happen at Brentford, and I think I'm very, very much focused on what Thomas Frank can offer the club moving forward. But I mean, if you look at what he did on Saturday against Millwall, we weren't playing very, very well. Admittedly, quite belatedly, he made a couple of changes. He brought Josh Da Silva on. He brought Joel Valencia on. He made some quite positive, attacking, forceful changes that, at the end of the day, I do believe turned the game around. Josh Da Silva got the first goal. Brian Mbeumo, I know he was brought on because of Corellis' injury, but he set up. He got the first goal. He got the second goal to equalise. Admittedly, it was deflection, and he set up Watkins's goal for the winner. So with Thomas Frank, I always find it's a game of fine margins. Some weeks I think he's very, very good and makes really, really positive decisions, but they're quite few and far between. A lot of the time he does tend to play on the defensive a little bit.
And I think we do have to acknowledge that it's his first full season in the job, and he is going to be given a full season at the very least, and so he should be, really. So I think there are going to be ups and downs, and hopefully we've had our downs. I really do feel we've got the quality there to make a real push, and we have to be doing that.
I think you can make a real push any time in the Championship. You will lose a couple of games, 2 or 3, but then you can go on a run, 3 or 4. It's how the Championship works, and you're so closely knit as a bunch that you might look at it and go, oh, we're 16th, 17th, but you win 2 games and then you're 1 point behind the playoffs. You're in the playoffs. It's how the Championship works. Let's quickly hear from Thomas Frank and what he had to say after the game.
How crazy is football? And the funny thing is, if we had lost 2-0, and we still produced, let's say he saved just a silver shot, just outside the post, and I can't even remember the 2-2 goal. That's Brian, that's slightly different. Then we probably a lot of disappointed fans and critics. Why can't you, and so on. But if you look at this performance we put in today, that's top. First half, we should have been up 2 or 3-0, and we're down 1-0, and we got an injury to our striker, and we were thinking, this is tough times. A lot of things is going against you. What can you do about it? Can you do something? Yes, you can react to it. And that's what we talked to the players about in the halftime. That we need to be positive, play a lot of energy, and do it together. And of course, we had the game plan and all the tactics. But that feeling and those emotions we all have, and feeling now, is incredible. I must say, and I said to the boys afterwards, that it's much more fun to win this way. It's a little bit more challenging during the match, but no, top mentality, top character of the team, and I really hope the fans enjoy it. This is one of these magical moments we talked about creating in the last season at Griffin Park, and I hope there's a lot of fans that will remember this day. Hopefully we can continue going forward. Football is emotions, also, and positive and confidence. When you're down 2-0 and 4-6 minutes to go, and you turn around and winning 3-2, that's a massive boost. And especially the way we did it. My feeling was we kept playing. We didn't rush it. I know when we had 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 passes in the back 4, building up from behind, and people wanted to rush, they didn't rush, and then we got out the other side. Then we produced a cross instead of just playing up and maybe not control that situation. That's the thing. That's one of the things I'm most proud of. That we kept playing, kept being calm, kept going forward. But this boost hopefully should give us something next time we're down 1-0 or 2-0. But maybe that's going to happen during the season. And we know that, especially at Griffin Park, that everything is possible. We need to be quick and recover well tomorrow, and a short training on Monday, and then ready to go Tuesday away to Swansea, which is going to be another tough match. There's no easy matches in this division. But the promising thing is that we're feeling now for 5-6 games in a row we actually put some decent performances in. I think the only one was maybe Preston, but Derby home, Barnsley away, Bristol City at home, even actually Nottingham Forest some elements, and now this game we are getting closer and closer to some of the maximum performance we can put in.
We are getting closer and closer to maximum performance, says the manager there, Thomas Frank. Just quickly, he also said football is crazy. He said if we can win games like that, he just told the lads in the dressing room, this is the perfect way to win. It was enjoyable, I'm sure, but it's not the ideal way to win every week, is it, Dave? Going 2-0 down.
Well, I've always said in my footballing life that I'm quite happy to lose matches trying to win them, and I'd rather lose a game sort of 3-2 trying to score goals than like box clever and play that kind of percentage game. Where
You'd rather win 2 and lose 4 than draw 6.
Yeah, I mean,
if that makes sense.
I like the
could lose 6, Robin.
Yeah, that's true.
It can go both ways, but I like that sort of like adventurous kind of free flowing. We've been spoilt over the last kind of 5 or 6 years under Mark Warburton. There was only one way of playing. That was his plan A, and he famously said, plan B is to do plan A better, and that was it was pretty much just all out attack. And under Dean Smith, again, similarly, there was this ethos that kind of permeated from top to bottom. We've got a little bit kind of tighter at the back now. Defence is kind of been our building block this season, and we do, although we were 2-0 down, we don't sort of panic when we're sort of under the cosh like we used to. So it's just really where it's spluttering. It's this kind of that midfield forward, link up. But as Robin said earlier, when we score 1, there's a good chance we're going to score 3. So it's just having that belief, and I think Saturday will give us more belief.
Talking of belief, someone that did score, not necessarily going from 0 to hero, but missed that penalty, did get the winner, Watkins. First goal in a while. Absolute scenes after. You felt for him, and nice to get back on the score sheet. He can kick on as well now, Robin.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's if I'm not mistaken, he's the top scorer in the Championship, isn't he? The problem has been, in terms of people questioning our ability to score goals, is that Watkins has scored his goals in 2s or 3s, and it's very rare that he's actually got that one goal. So I think it's interesting. I mean, there was a whole kerfuffle around the penalty. So when we were awarded the penalty, Ollie Watkins was designated penalty taker, despite the fact that he's missed 2 of his last 3, and then he missed this one, obviously. And then Said Benrahma, our mercurial and unbelievably, impossibly talented player, attacking player, number 10, wanted to take the ball, and then Dalsgaard had to pull Benrahma away, and then that might have added extra pressure on Watkins. But one thing about Ollie Watkins, I think I said before the season started, in terms of him, he's peaked higher than players like Canos and Benrahma, I'd say, but he's not been as consistent, and he's been brilliant all season. Whatever function he's been asked to play, whatever position, he's been fantastic.
Charlie, do you want to get a Kleenex out and do an update?
I was choosing not to mention that because this is the Sheffield
United
United fan
now.
show, and I'm not going to mention it at all. But
you were going to no-go, Charlie, there.
Yeah, I think there has been a goal in the Sheffield United-Arsenal game. I'm not sure who it's gone to. We'll try to keep you updated on Love Sport Radio. Sheffield United have taken the lead. It is 1-0. But when we come back, we'll be listening to Rasmus Ankersen, the Director of Football at Brentford.
This is Love Sport. The cost of car, van or motorbike insurance can put people off driving completely, but you don't have to pay massive premiums to protect your vehicle from theft or damage. Price comparison site spokesmansaid.com can get a great deal for you.
Spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
You all right, mate? Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah? Really? It's just, there's a massive grizzly bear sitting on you. You sure you're okay?
Well, now that you mention it, sometimes we say we're fine when we're not. But with 1 in 4 experiencing a mental health problem, if your mate says he's fine, he might not be. Be in your mate's corner and ask twice. Time to change.
This is Lionel, another very happy person who saved themselves money at spokesmansaid.com.
Hi, I'm Lionel from Peacehaven. I took note of what the spokesman said and I saved £484 per year on my energy. And I recommend everybody does the same.
A spokesmansaid.com. Getting real people, real savings. Compare, switch and save with a spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
There are many things a mother can pass on to her baby. Her smile, her eye colour, and her immunity to whooping cough. Whooping cough is a very dangerous illness for young babies, and at the moment it's spreading fast. A simple vaccination during your pregnancy can help to protect your baby in their first weeks. Please speak to your GP, nurse, or healthcare professional and pass on your immunity.
Oh, it's okay. Let's face it, when your kids are ill, you do anything to help them feel better. But remember, antibiotics aren't always needed. You might not realise it, but taking antibiotics when you don't need them puts you and your family at risk of a longer and more severe illness. Help keep your family well. Always take your doctor's advice on antibiotics. Search NHS antibiotics. All better.
Love sport.
You are listening to the Brentford Fan Show on Love Sport Radio with me, Charlie Hawkins. I'm joined with the BeeSotted podcast, Dave Laney Lane and Robin Hood McMichael. Well, we are talking everything where Brentford are concerned, and you can get involved. Tweet us at Love Sport Radio or call us on 0208 70 20 558. It's your team, it's your voice. We want to hear from you. But we want to catch up now with... we've got some audio from football director at Brentford, Rasmus Ankersen, and the guys got to speak to him, and here's what he had to say.
And we've got Rasmus here, Rasmus Ankersen, Brentford's co-director of football, who is, first of all, Rasmus, you're obviously very happy with the result today.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a roller coaster, emotionally at least. And I think last time we had quite an experience like this was probably last season against Villa, wasn't it? When Mopé scored in the injury time. So now we were down with 2, so it was even better. But yeah, great win. I think the boys deserved it.
Interesting.
If there is something that's called deserved in football, but I know you're talking a lot about that. So
well, listen, I mean, we were talking about it in the first half. We had a lot of chances in your world, in the stats world, which you use as part of the things to analyse the game. You would say that in the first half we were looking like the XG was high as it is, and the chances that we were creating was high, but we just weren't putting them in the back of the net. And also, their goalkeeper was playing a bit of a blinder. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the first half, I think we look a lot at the underlying model rating. And which is a really important decision-making tool for us, and a way of, I would say, the primary way of measuring progress. And based on the first half, the model would upgrade us, give us a big upgrade. But we were down 1-0. But that's football, isn't it? Like, it's at the end of the day, it's a really random game. Much more random than basketball and handball and what have you, for many reasons, but. That's why you need some tools. You need some fundamental ideas to base your decision making on, which has not only something to do with what's on the scoreline at the end of the game.
So I mean, the second half, they got the goal very late in the first half, which seems to knock the wind out of us. The second half, we were, and let's just put layman's terms into it, we didn't look at the races at all for the most of that second half. I mean, what do you put that down to?
No, I think it was a little bit pedestrian at times. We moved the ball without creating clear-cut chances. I think it was a little bit of it was a bit of a shock for us to get down 2-0 at a penalty, which I think was a big maybe. But Millwall got a little bit tired in the end, and I think we also got a bit lucky with the deflection on the 2-2 goal. And but I think if you look at the game as a whole, there was a little bit of justice left in the world, I think.
Okay, well, you say that, but I'm going to say this as well, because as you talk about XG, and if people out there, XG expected goals is talking about created chances, and it's the quality of the chances that you create. So if you've got a ball which is 2 yards in front of the goal, and you got the chance to put it in the back of the net, that's a very high XG, as opposed to shooting the ball from 40 yards, which you might score still, but it's very low. And the chances are that if you create more chances with a higher XG, you've got a better chance of scoring. Now, ironically, we were creating some great chances and not scoring, but the goal that we actually did score was probably one which has got a very low XG, which was De Silva's goal. Yeah. So, I mean, not being funny, doesn't that knock your XG theory out the window, or how does that work?
No, I mean that happens. I mean, it's for us, it's about creating obviously as many high probability scoring situations as possible and prevent the opposition from doing it against us. And that is a better predictor of where you're going to go in the future often than your current league table position. Because, I mean, this is the thing in football, you know, everyone grown up hearing that the league table never lies, but the league table lies. But saying that in football is like saying the world is flat, you know. The brain is not designed to deal with randomness and accept randomness and explanation for an outcome. So we want a narrative. So we cannot accept that we are. It's very difficult for us as human beings to accept that in the first half we've smashed Millwall, but we're down 1-0. You know, it has to be something with lack of confidence, or the manager has lost the dressing room, or things like that. So we build all these explanations, and I think our job is to try and, keep focusing on what signal and what is noise, especially when you go on these bad runs, which you eventually do in such a close league as the Championship.
And I'm going to say this, and I know I've taken a lot of your time, but this is interesting chat. And what I will say is, look, I love a team, and everyone out there loves their team, and we want them to do really well. And yes, we are creating these chances, but Brentford still are not quite the Brentford like we were even last season. So even though we might be doing, inverted commas, the right things, there's just something out there that just isn't quite right about Brentford. And you must know that because you watch these games. You must talk about it week in, week out.
I think if you look at it from a defensive point of view, I think the Brentford team we have now is probably the best team we've had defensively, especially since I got involved here. I think we look very solid. We give very few chances away, which is a big plus for me because both you and I have watched the last couple of seasons. And I don't think we've felt more calm than we do now when the opposition has the ball, or because we think we look pretty solid. I agree that offensively it hasn't quite clicked. Is that down to a big turnover of players in the summer? That it's there's a relationship thing. That's gonna get better the better they get to know each other. Is it that we need to accept conceding a little bit more defensively in order to create something more offensively to create a better balance? That's some of life's big questions, but. I don't think we are far off. I mean, I think to be a top Championship side, you need to be very strong defensively throughout the 46 games, and I think we got a good foundation to grow from. And then it's up to us, it's up to the coaching staff to make sure that offensively it starts to click again, because that's probably where we still have a little bit of a way to go.
I'm going to ask one last question. I've kept a lot of your time, and I'll be killed if I don't ask this question for you. Obviously, in the season, we were last season we were absolutely on fire. We were scoring lots of goals. Neil Maupay, 28 goals last season. He went in the close season and we didn't manage to secure another striker for whatever reason. We've heard that there was a bit of malarkey with the striker that we wanted to bring in, so that didn't quite happen, and then we tried to bring in another striker, it didn't happen. But that's kind of left us a bit cold, and a lot of people are saying that this is the cause of the problem as to why we're not firing on the cylinders.
I don't know. I mean, we have the top scorer of the Championship in the team, don't we? With Ollie Watkins, it's not that we, in that sense, I think lack a goal scorer. But obviously, it's very difficult to replace Neil Maupay, and we tried, but also, to bring someone in, it had to be, and pay a lot of money for that player. It would have to be someone who we thought would be an upgrade on what we already had in this team. For example, Ollie Watkins. And we think we were pretty comfortable with what we had. When we signed Neil Maupay, you also remember the first season Neil Maupay were here. He was not quite firing as he was in the second season. So it took him 12 months to get used to the Championship and to start really performing for us and giving us some return on investment in terms of goals. And I think we were a little bit in a different position this season because we were not where we wanted to sign a striker that needed 12 months before he would start firing. If we were to sign a striker, it would have to be someone who would deliver from day one. And those guys are not easy to find. They're very expensive as well. And that's why I thought we were comfortable with what we had. And I think for me, it's not so much about if you have one guy scoring 25 goals. It's more, is the team as a whole able to produce chances and enough chances to achieve what we want to achieve, and I think this team has the potential to do that. Also, I mean, I think you remember when we a few years back when we sold Scott Hogan, who scored a big proportion of our goals. After we sold Scott Hogan to Villa, we started scoring more goals. So it's not so simple that to say that, you know, one Mopé goes, you take 27 goals out of the team. It's not how it works. It's we need to make sure that we have a team that's able to produce enough chances to achieve what we want to achieve, and I think we have that, and I think the team is going to get better. That said, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and rule out that's not a focus for us in the next couple of windows, because it's an important position. So let's see. I'm not so worried as maybe some of you guys are.
And Marcus Forss, is he coming home after Christmas?
Well, you say now. I mean, Nikos has got what looked like a pretty serious injury today. So we gotta do a scan in the next few days to see how serious it is. And but we'll see. I mean, a lot depends on where are we in January. You know, are we in a position where we're gonna make a push? Are we gonna make a season where we're gonna prepare for the next season? You know, there's a lot of, and Marcus Forss is obviously part of that conversation. So let's see. I mean, he hasn't played that many games for Wimbledon. It looks good so far, but let's see. There's still a few months and a lot of games to play.
Okay, listen, Rasmus. Thanks for taking your time out, man, and I'll catch you soon.
Okay, cheers.
Rasmus Ankersen there, the co-director of football at Brentford Football Club. Really enjoyed listening to that. Such an insight. And Dave, you were just saying there, just for all fans, really, just to see what's going on behind the club, hear what he actually had to say. It was just... Sorry, Dave.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I know it's a particularly long clip, that one, but I think it was a significant, the way that we were able to speak so openly and frankly with
100%.
him, and the fact that he's kind of shared a fair amount of the insight into the way the club are looking at the striking situation, how they're looking at the start of the season, and the confidence there clearly is in the setup and the players that are there, and the reason that we didn't really go out and go gung-ho for a big name striker. He said, they're not cheap, and we have to be 100% sure that they're not a year away. They need to be up and running quickly. So it was a very, I thought that was a bit of an education. It's always good to kind of understand how the people that are making the decisions are making those decisions.
And ultimately, those are the people in the front office. We always think we can do a better job. Well, I certainly do, but they know what they're doing, and these deals to get them over the line, and there's always reasons behind. They have to judge it. They have to think about the long term as well as the short term goal. I know, Robin, you wanted to talk about particularly the bit where you said, as fans, do we build bad expectations after a defeat? We spoke about on this show, knee-jerk reactions. That was a key point for you as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. It's sort of that as fans, football fans are fickle in general. That's just that. Let's just take those.
That's not criticism.
That's not criticism. That's just how.
That's
how
all fans.
And we're certainly entitled to our opinion. We pay a certain amount of money to go and watch these games. But I do think I've always felt this, but having listened back to what Rasmus said, which I think was incredibly articulate and incredibly well put, is that we are quite keen to build these explanations as to why the team isn't performing as well, and they're often complete conjecture. Oh, Thomas Frankie's not the right man for the job. Why? Well, I'm not entirely sure he is. Got that rapport with the players, and then you start talking about the amount of money we've paid for transfer fee, but there's nothing quantifiable in anything that we say. Is as to whether or not Thomas Frankie, he's got his flaws. Don't get me wrong, but there seems to be this keenness almost to, as soon as something goes wrong, bang, blame something. Pinpoint it. Try and find a reason, and we often create these almost automatically.
And equally as well, the rationale, the explanations we come up across is so measured and so intelligent and so calm. There's no BS there. That's what he believes in, that completely and utterly. And he's not bluffing.
He certainly wasn't. I thought he spoke very open, and it was such an insight. Great to have that audio, so thank you for that. We have to turn our attentions to the game tomorrow night, because in the Championship the games come thick and fast. It is Swansea, and we're going to be joined by Julie Kissick.
Giving your team the coverage they deserve. Love Sport Radio. Follow @Love Sport Radio on Twitter for all the latest news, views, competitions, and the best bits from your favourite station. Love Sport, the station giving fans a voice.
You all right, mate? Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah? Really? It's just, there's a massive grizzly bear sitting on you. You sure you're okay?
Well, now that you mention it. Sometimes we say we're fine when we're not. But with 1 in 4 experiencing a mental health problem, if your mate says he's fine, he might not be. Be in your mate's corner and ask twice. Time to change.
AsSpokesmanSaid.com is a leading price comparison website that allows you to compare every energy tariff on the market in seconds. We have more deals than any other comparison website offering energy prices, and our impartial independent switching service is free of charge. Nearly 50% of UK households have switched bills, and there are hundreds to be saved. Visit AsSpokesmanSaid.com, as recommended in The Guardian, The Times and The Sun. AsSpokesmanSaid.com.
Before you set off on a long journey, remember to check your vehicle. Are your tyres correctly inflated? And are the treads deep enough? Have you got enough fuel? Is your oil level right? Checking your vehicle doesn't take long, but can prevent a breakdown or accident and save you money. So, before you set off on a long journey, check your tyres, fuel and oil. Highways England, connecting the country.
If you fall asleep at the wheel, you'll put your life in danger, and the lives of others as well. Before you feel tired, pull off the road into a services or other safe area. Drink some strong coffee, and take a quick nap while the caffeine kicks in.
If you're having a nap, you've left your lights on, sir.
Right, cheers.
Think. Don't drive tired.
This is Love Sport. The opposition view on Love Sport.
That's right, it's time for the opposition view, and this is the Brentford Fan Show on Love Sport Radio with me, Charlie Hawkins. I'm joined in the show with BeeSotted, Dave Laney Lane and Robin the Hood McMichael. We are talking everything where Brentford are concerned. Now, though, we turn our attentions to the game tomorrow night. It is Swansea, and Swansea, who are flying high in the Championship, were doing well. But the game before the international break, well, they lost to Stoke, who weren't doing very well, turned their fortunes around 2-1 there. And the first game after the international break, 1-1. So maybe that confidence, that momentum is slipping. Someone who will know a little bit more than us, I'm delighted to say we are joined by Julie Kissick. And Julie runs the sports journalism degree at the University of South Wales. Julie, a real pleasure to have you on the show tonight. Thank you for joining us and giving us a little bit of your time. What do you make of the fixture tomorrow night?
Oh, I think it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? It's we've got a reasonably good schedule against Brentford, but I think it's coming at quite a difficult time for us, really. And also, of course, we've got a massive game on Sunday because we're playing Cardiff City on Sunday, which is the big derby for us. So I think on form, we ought to win it, but, you know, you just never know, do you?
Hi, Julie, it's Dave here. Thanks for coming on the
Hiya,
show tonight. It's been a really good start to the season for the Swans, and we, after our experiences at the Liberty last season, where we got turned over twice quite heavily, we do travel kind of to the south of Wales with a lot of trepidation. But your home form isn't sort of just, you know, like perfect, is it? That you are fallible at the Liberty. You know, are Brentford? Do you think there's a good chance we might get something out of the game, or do you think that you've got a couple of bad results out of your system now?
Well, I'd hope it's going to be the latter, Dave, obviously, but I would say that, wouldn't I? I think it's one of those really tricky games. As I said, I think we expected to get more on Saturday. And the fact that we didn't, we came away with a 1-1 draw at Barnsley, was a real disappointment. And I wasn't there, but I understand that we didn't play particularly well. We certainly didn't take our chances, and we didn't create an awful lot of chances. So that's not good. As you said, before the international break, things got a little bit wobbly, in all honesty. And I think that's never a good place to sort of put a comma in a season, is it? But you hope that you'll come back from the international break and the players will be reinvigorated. So Saturday was difficult and disappointing. And I think in general, the Tuesday night games are those sorts of midweek games where very often things can slide. But I think because you've got a really good showing against you normally, and you haven't got a great away record on a Tuesday from what I can work out. Haven't you lost the last 3 Tuesday matches that you've played away?
Yeah, we don't like Tuesdays or Wednesdays particularly.
Julius, Robin here, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks.
Just wanted to ask you a question. So I was doing a bit of, shall we say, research into Steve Cooper, because there's not really much I knew about him as Swansea manager. And sort of looking at his history, he's had a lot of experience with developing youth, young players. So he's head of the academy at Wrexham, at Liverpool. He was England under-16 coach and England under-17 coach. And he held those positions, each position, for about 3 or 4 years. So he's obviously got some clout. What would you say he's brought to the to the club this season that you didn't have last season?
I think your summation of him to begin with was actually one that most of us thought as well, really, because he was a bit of an unknown. We do have a bit of a history of going for left of field managers, and I think he was one of those that everybody thought, gosh, where's he come from, what's he done? But I think what he's brought is a real enthusiasm. He's very, very focused. If you listen to him in his press conferences, he knows what he wants to say. He knows the message that he wants to get across. And Swansea do have an awful lot of youngsters. We've had a really good academy set up in the last few years. And I think that was probably the attraction of him and for him, because he's got a lot of experience with youngsters. They do seem to play for him. He seems to have quite a bond with them as well. You know, again, you see them in the warm-up and he's chatting to them, and post-match he'll go over and he put her arm around them. And I think he's brought a bit of stability, really, and that sort of air of confidence without being overly confident, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It certainly does. And Julie, you know what's coming. We have to put you on the spot. What is your score prediction for tomorrow night?
Yes, 2-1 to us, sorry.
Oh, 2-1 to Swansea. You're making no friends in the studio, Julie, but we really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Giving us
Julie, thank you.
a bit of
Thank
time.
you so
Julie
much.
Kissick there, and Swansea will get the result 2-1. I have to turn my attentions to you in the studio.
Ooh.
Dave, you're up first.
Yeah, well, we owe them, so I'm going to go 2-1 the other way. I'm going to go Brentford away win, 2-1 Bees.
2-1 score win, continuing that momentum from the weekend. Robin, are you following suit?
I'm not. I'm going on a slightly different suit. Two very solid defensive teams from the outset. I'm going to say 1-1. I think, it'll be a tightly contested affair, and I will be watching with great interest, shall we say.
I'll take the point now.
Yeah,
Oh, well, that was
now.
Dave. You beat me to it. That was my question. And obviously, with the result on the weekend, Swansea doing well. Let's forget the last 2 results, and away from home. Happy with a point? Take that, certainly.
Yeah, I think so. I don't want us to go there playing for that, and we won't. But yeah, I'll take it now as a fan. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Certainly, in what is a busy and a congested fixture pile up, the Championship always is. And now, also, Dave, I know you want to talk about some quick things. We've got to do put our house in order before the end of the show.
Yeah, we've got our Pride of West London podcast that will be going live Thursday, or it might be going live Friday this week. We'll have to work it out. We got QPR away on Monday, so that gives us an extra day. We've got some new BeeSotted jackets, which are absolutely, they're shower proof, rain and beer proof, and you can get those on BeeSotted.com. And we've got a new t-shirt range as well. So if you need a bit of an extra layer for the trip to Loftus Road next Monday, pop along to BeeSotted.com.
Maybe even a
Buy
Christmas
yourself a
present.
jacket. Yeah, absolutely. But it's we've got a BeeSotted Christmas social which we're starting to plan. So there's lots of bits and bobs coming up. But yeah, tune in to the BeeSotted.com podcast, which should be out. It should probably be out Friday, I reckon, this week.
Definitely, and once the Christmas social is up and running, we can mention it here. We can give you all the details for that. Well, this has been the Brentford Fan Show right here on Love Sport Radio with BeeSotted. They were Dave, Lane, and Robin the Hood McMichael. We will be here at the same time. No, we won't next week because Brentford
we'll
play QPR, so we won't be here next week. We'll be here again in 2 weeks when you can catch the Brentford Fan Show.
Cheers.
This is Love Sport.
You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage. You're in leakage. kid, you're in league.
Tenna men.
Kid.
Pants and pads.